Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is magnetic tracks. So here I've got a timeline with a bunch of stuff on it, and we're going to go over here in Camtasia Mac, and we're going to right click, and you see that there's a toggle here. Right now that track is magnetic. I'll go ahead and disable it. By default, tracks are disabled for now, at least as of the beta. On Windows, there's actually a toggle button right here in the track header where you can toggle it on and off. And we're just exploring a couple of different options there. I'd love to hear what you guys prefer. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is a magnetic track, or a non-magnetic track right now. And so when I drag it, items on the track, you can see that these gaps exist. So I'm going to go ahead, toggle on magnetism, and you can see all of my gaps were removed right there. Not only that, I can't create a gap. So try as hard as I might, I can't do it. So that's the basic thrust of magnetic tracks. Now, there's some other features buried in here which work with magnetism and also, in many cases, with non-magnetic tracks. So these are things like ripple insert. So if I come up into my media bin, I've got this logo right here. I'm going to go ahead and drop this logo right here, and you can see everything just moves out of the way for me. You can also trim. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this. You can see everything just nicely moves out of the way. Really simple editing experience. All right, I'll go ahead and delete that guy. And let's take a look at a little bit different piece of media here. So we're going to zoom in on the timeline a little bit here. And we have Ripple Trim. Now, Ripple Trim was supported with an option, with a keyboard modifier key. When you drag it, there I'm ripple trimming from the end. But we added the ability to ripple trim from the start as well. So, and again, you see magnetism behaves nicely, keeps everything in sync, no gaps, no goofing around with the timeline. So that's pretty nice. Another thing that we have is what we call ripple move. So if you go ahead and grab one of these guys and you start cruising along here, you can just move that guy anywhere you want. Get her about halfway across any clip and drop, and it's just going to insert itself. So it's a pretty nice feature, makes it really simple to move things around. We also can do things like, I'm going to go over here and grab an annotation. And we'll grab this guy, and we'll lay it on the timeline. So I didn't move it in and insert it from the media bin, I just have this guy laying on my timeline. But I can still insert it. So if I go ahead and I grab this guy, and I move down, you can see the timeline moves out of the way for me, ripple inserting. Zoom back a little bit, you can see the timeline's just grown. No fuss, no muss. All right, couple things to know about magnetic tracks is you can have more than one of them. So this guy is magnetic, but I could also make this guy magnetic. So what happens there? Turn on magnetism, you see everything gets sucked to the left over there. Now, your mileage may vary. Sometimes I like to use an additional track when I'm cutting up my screen recordings and doing a lot of editing, and I'll just make a magnetic track, do all my edits and deleting, and everything stays nicely tuned. You can also do things where you're setting things up, sort of blocking things out, and magnetism is really handy for that. And maybe you get things just the way you want right here. And we're going to go ahead and select all those guys and Command G to group them. And I'm going to turn off magnetism. Disable magnetic track. Now you can see as I move that guy around, I can drop it anywhere I want to do my compositing. Important to note, magnetism, we don't link any other tracks on your timeline, so you're responsible for keeping those things in sync. It's something that we're evaluating and looking at, but there's a lot of edge cases there, so we really want to hear how users, what they think and the problems you run into, and whether we want to go the route of automatic sync or provide other tools that make it easier to move things around. So that is magnetic tracks in a nutshell. Hope you guys like it.